Good morning and namaste, distinguished guests, speakers, and participants. I am Sadiksha Shrestha, and I'm honored to serve as your host, your MC for today's program, United in Diversity, Stories from Nepal's Human Rights Champions. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we come together to highlight and to celebrate the resilience, the courage, and advocacy of Nepal's human rights champions. This forum provides us with an opportunity to exchange stories, ideas, and actionable pathways for a more inclusive society. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of the head of the European Union delegation to Nepal, Her Excellency Veronique Lorenzo. Along with her, we'd also like to welcome all the EU representatives who are here, friends of EU, all our distinguished speakers who are all excited and a little bit nervous to share their stories with all of us, but I'm sure you'll be most incredible. To everyone who's joining us live as well, thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us digitally as well. I'd like to share something about the European Union and how EU has been a steadfast supporter and partner in fostering human rights, equality, and justice. It continues to stand united with Nepal in addressing the complexities of human rights challenges and in supporting the brave individuals who lead these efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin, we have a small animation that we'd like to show you all. We're gathered here to listen to some incredible stories and experiences from three incredible speakers. To formally begin the event, it is my privilege to invite our esteemed head of the European Union delegation to Nepal, Her Excellency Veronique Lorenzo, for the welcome address.
This is very strong. Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all here. This is part, even though we didn't get our usual jingle, this is an event that is part of our celebrations of the 50-year anniversary of relations between Nepal and the European Union. And of course, one of our central values as European Union that we try and promote every day inside of the European Union and beyond is the respect for human rights. It's not always been an easy journey, and every day in the past year you've seen that this is not a linear and positive journey. We're seeing many setbacks in our respect of human rights. Not in Nepal. Here we're in a pretty safe space compared to the rest of the world, frankly. You know that for us, the Russian war of aggression in Ukraine constitutes an existential threat and comes accompanied by horrendous human rights violations. Things we had not seen before for a few decades on our borders. The situation in the Middle East it's been over a year now of terrible, terrible human rights violations. And we're likely to see even more challenges ahead. Therefore, it's important never to let up, never to say, human rights are fine now, let's move on to something else. They're not. They can always be reversed. There can always be backlashes. This is a constant fight. And as European Union, we live that as well by trying to promote our partners in civil society, in government as well, all our partners. We need all hands on deck for the respect and upholding human rights. We're also very serious about protecting human rights defenders, and we have a special program that provides shelter, sometimes asylum, to human rights defenders. We had a program last week in Kainali with a group of human rights defenders who were, I'm always in admiration to hear from all walks of life, from people with disabilities, people working with victims of conflict, people working with the LGBTIQ community, and so on. Each fight is a very particular and worthwhile fight. And the European Union will continue to defend them because it corresponds not only to our European values, but to our universal values. Another focus of attention the European Union has is youth. They are the future, but also the present of Nepal. And what better combination to celebrate Human Rights Day, a bit late, right? It was on the 10th of December, but what better combination than have 3 young people to describe their journey, their fight, to promote and protect human rights. So I'm very pleased to welcome all 3 of them, Anugrah, Barun, and Anjali, who will speak to us. And they are nervous, aren't they? Because it's quite a challenge to try and speak for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, in a sustained tone and flow. But they've been very, very brave so far in what they have done. So I'm sure they will come up very well of this challenge. Enjoy the TED Talks. Will then be there. It's been televised. It will then be online. We hope it's a lively way of celebrating and of bringing this sometimes abstract concept of human rights to life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your words and for reminding all of us that collective effort is required to advance and protect human rights as well. 50 years of collaboration, 50 years of partnership, and celebrating International Human Rights Day as well. We have 3 incredible speakers who are here to share the things that they do, things they have done, and their experiences and learnings with all of us. We have 3 speakers, and each of the speakers will be getting 15 minutes, post which we will also have a question and answer session. And to everybody who's joined us online and watching us online, please do make sure to put in your questions in the comment section if you would like it to be answered by our speakers as well. We have a limited time of 10 minutes for the Q&A. So after each speaker, we'll open the floor for some question and answer as well. But ladies and gentlemen, it is not easy. I think doing the work is quite easy than coming onto the stage and sharing what they have done. So definitely be kind to all our speakers as well. They have practiced, they are ready to share the incredible work that they have done and are doing as well. I am honored to invite our first speaker, Advocate Anjali Tiwari, who is a passionate human rights lawyer who has dedicated her work to addressing the challenges of post-trafficking reintegration. Her extensive experience and advocacy efforts have made her a trailblazer in the field as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and welcome the incredible Advocate Anjali Tiwari.
Let me tell you a story of a young girl who was born in a small village in Kabri. Let's call her Preeti. Preeti came to the city of Kathmandu carrying a worn-out zebra bag that reflected her humble background, a terminally ill father, a mother who only knew how to run a household, and a little brother who ran all day long. All of them relied on her. So, at the very young age of 17, Preeti decided to give up on her dreams of studying and carried all their hopes with her to the city of dreams. All she had with her was her high school certificate and a promise by a neighbor uncle that she would get a job in a restaurant. So on day one, she enters her workplace, finds out that it was not a normal restaurant. There were women who were barely wearing any clothes and dancing on the stage. In front of them sat men who could not took their eyes off them. Preeti was forced to be up on that stage by various means. But that was not it. Because one starless night, when the sky was just like the color of her eyes, she was forced to bed one of those men. I'll skip the hardships she had to bear for the next few months. But with the help of organization, she was rescued and then kept for shelter for some time. After a few months, the organization asked her to contact her family and check if she could return back home. So Preeti Cook took the phone and called her mother. "Amma, it's me, Preeti," she said. There was gasp, followed by a silence on the other end. Then the voice from the other end said, "Who, Preeti? We don't know any Preeti. Don't call us again." And hung up. We all know Preeti's story is not unique. In Nepal, thousands of women and children are trafficked every year, many lured by the promises of education, jobs, or marriage. According to National Human Rights Commission, approximately 35,000 of individuals are trafficked in a single year for different purposes. 1 out of every 4 victims are children. We all know human trafficking is not just a crime of exploitation, but it is a human rights abuse. According to a global context, out of all the human trafficking cases, nearly 79% of these cases are of sexual exploitation. So today, I'll be only dealing with the issues of sexual exploitation. Despite this high number of victims, the rescue and reporting rates are alarmingly low. And many people believe that the challenges of trafficked person ends when they are rescued. But in reality, after getting rescued, they deal with a whole new set of challenges and struggle to survive in this society. Currently, I'm working in Sakti Samuha, a Ramon Magsaysay award-winning organization that I'm extremely proud to be affiliated with. We try to work on those gaps. We try to bridge these gaps that lies in front of every survivor. My role here is to guide the survivor, to inspire them, to guide them, and to reclaim their voices, to transform their trauma into strength, and to become a change makers in their life. So while I work with these survivors, I find out that there are a lot of challenges they go through while they are reintegrating into the society. The very first one is the financial burden. Due to lack of education, job opportunities, and life skills, they are not able to get a stable employment. And they'll not be economically independent. So this will create a sense of frustration and also helplessness. At the same time, they have to make up for the times they have already lost. On top of that, they have to face the cynical eyes of this society, while they get cold soldiers from their own family. So it's really difficult for a survivor to live independently. But we all know that deep down, every one of us present here longs to be loved and belonged, right? But in context of trafficking survivor, they are only left with the trauma and loneliness. And they are bound to be re-trafficked as well. So it's really difficult to tell about the problems. Sorry, it's really easy to talk about problems. But merely stating problems won't solve anything. So what's next? How do we combat these problems? At first, let's look into the financial burden they have. Let's work to ease on these financial burden. Let's bring those sustainable opportunities so that they can be economically independent. I think a high quality education can have a viable importance in their life. While I work in Sakti Samuha, we have an educational opportunity given to the survivors. They are provided with a university level of education in the field of law, psychology, social work, journalism, and many more that touches the society. So, with the help of university degree, they try to reclaim their voices, reclaim the places that they had in the society, but this society failed them to take it. So with the help of university education, they'll try to transform their life into a change makers. Not just education, we can also provide them with the vocational trainings. Vocational trainings are provided by the organization in different ways. But I think in today's world, one of the issues that a survivor can take is by learning the psychosocial counseling skills. Because everyone, government, community, individuals, everyone today prioritizes the issue of psychosocial. So from the school to the juvenile court, we all require counselors. So if our survivor sisters get the certificate of counseling, then they'll get a stable employment, they'll get paid, and not just that, they'll be confident enough to support other survivors. So apart from that, what our government is doing, our government is trying to rescue. It tries to give some rehabilitation, but have not thought about a long-term sustainable support to these survivors. So I'd like to ask one question to the survivor to the government that, is it just enough to provide a survival or basic necessity to a survivor? Because it is high time that government should understand that survivor needs more than just survival. They need tools to thrive in this society. So government must understand this. And while working in the policies, they can also integrate the voices of survivor. They can provide a meaningful presentation of the survivors. And if we do that, then there will be a lasting change in the society and can also create sustainable changes, sustainable opportunities for them. So now, let's get into community. We all are members of community, right? So we all are responsible to combat the stigma head-on. We have to start open discussions. We have to start educating public about the harsh realities of human trafficking. We have to address the victim blaming mindset. Because we are responsible to create an environment where survivor feels heard, understood, and accepted. So one of the powerful tools to fight against the stigmatized society could be a restorative justice circle. It's a new approach for reintegration as well as for the healing. At first, this approach provides the mental health services for the survivor. It will enable the survivor to heal and then to work with themselves first. And then they'll be enabling the survivor to open up their stories with other survivors. Then after, there will be a trained facilitator who will help the survivor to overcome the myths of the trafficking, and they'll make sure that they are emotionally ready to come out to the society. While doing the same with the member of community, they'll also train the member of community to know that this stigma is against the rights of these poor survivors. So the community will be also engaged, and they will be also trained on how to approach in a good way to these survivors. So after that, there will be a structured spaces where the survivors along with the community members be in a circle. So it says the restorative justice circle, and they'll discuss about the harm, they'll discuss about the pain, they'll discuss about the experiences, the vulnerable experiences they had while they were trafficked. So there will be a sense of belongingness, along with there will be an empathy, so that the society and the members of society can change their societal perception towards victim and stop doing victim blaming mindset. So this approach can also make sure that the stigma is combated. So now, healing is not an individual responsibility. It will never be an individual responsibility. We all are responsible to heal a survivor. So I'll talk about Preeti. Preeti, today, she is in her final year of law school. Once a girl who was hopeless and no desire to live has now transformed into a woman who is full of life, who is full of confidence. But still at times, I notice a tinge of melancholy in her eyes. Although she has risen above her pain, still at times, probably she misses having her home, still lacks the sense of belonging, and still feels she is not accepted by her people. The other day, Preeti said to me, "Didi, do you know what I will do after I get my first salary?" "What?" I simply asked her. "I'll take it all, go back to my village, and maybe then my mom will start recognizing me again." She said, smiling, with a few drops of tears that trickled down her cheeks. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much to Advocate Anjali Tiwari for sharing the story of Preeti. And we do hope that many Preetis also get their opportunity to live life to the fullest. Ladies and gentlemen, we've now opened the floor for Q&A. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Advocate Tiwari, please do raise your hands and we'll make sure that we send the microphone to you. I can get the ball rolling with a question that I got online. Thank you to everyone who's watching us online as well. So Anjali, there's a question from one of our viewers who are watching us online, and they've asked, how scalable is this educational, vocational model in Nepal, considering the financial and cultural barriers that we have? And if there are any specific strategies that we can use to address these constraints?
Yeah. So this educational and vocational training is of course scalable, but there are limitations, like financial limitations, like cultural limitation that the question I've already asked. Financial limitation, while talking about financial limitation, we initiate this kind of projects based on funds, but they are not reliable, right? So the lack of financial can always hinder the educational opportunity for survivors like them. And also the cultural barriers, like the traditional thinking that girls are not meant for education. And even those people who have been survived with the trafficking, why do you have to continue your life? Why do you have to study? This kind of cultural barriers comes into play. but there can be strategies. There can be strategies that can be opted by government. Government can, for the financial stability, can make the strategies like tax-free for those businesses who support the education or the vocational training for the survivor, so that those businesses are encouraged to support the survivor through finances, and then they can study. So in this way, we can see that the financial constraint can be limited by the encouragement of the businesses like enterprises.
Right. Thank you very much, Anjali. I see somebody has a question here.
Hello, Chair. Thank you, Anjali. It was nice listening to whatever you have been doing in terms of supporting human rights for the trafficked people. So while you mentioned about the approach of working with the survivors of trafficking, and you mentioned about restorative circle and restorative justice that could be used, and I was longing to know if there has been any such practices that has been integrated into your work, and if there is some experience of how it goes, because usually coming from the community where people are having this stigma, and even like when people are going through such kind of PTSD, to have a safe space to understand and to have the shared empathy in the circle, I find it quite challenging, and I'd love to know if that still is in your practice and what is your experience around it. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful question. So, restorative justice circle is not something that we can get tomorrow. It takes a long time, and it does not implement to those survivors who are rescued just yesterday. So it takes time. The rescued women and girls will take time to rehabilitate in the society. Till then, they are provided with the psychosocial counseling, legal counseling, and many other empowerment activities so that they can heal first. So once they are healed, in my practice, in the project that I'm affiliated with, we do that in a smaller community, the group of survivors, along with the community that is next to our house. But we do not have practice to bring all the society members and integrate this model. However, I'd like to share that the project that I'm working on, this project is also implemented in Brazil. But in Brazil, they quite practice this restorative justice circle, naming it as peace circle, and it is quite prevalent in Brazil because Brazil is a country with violence, and where there is violence, where there is conflict, there has to be the restoration within the society. So the practice is prevalent in Brazil, while saying that in my own working space, we do that in a smaller, closed space. But I have already said to you and everyone present here that we are responsible to combat the stigma. So once the stigma is head on, we'll be practicing this restorative justice circle in our society as well.
I see one more hand up. Can we please pass the microphone to the lady?
Oh, check.
Hello, namaskar. My name is Prasangsha Kesi. Today I'm representing Global Private Limited. I've been invited here through the European Union and Global Private Limited friendship. I myself have been working to end child marriage and kidnap marriage from Nepal, and especially have been working in Karnali zone. And thank you so much for standing there and sharing your story. It is my immense pleasure to see someone like me, of my age, who care about women in our community. It's such an encouragement, and you've been doing great, and I'm very proud of you. And thank you, European Union, for bringing youth like her and also encouraging us. So my question to you is, I have my own non-profit, which is called Pampa Foundation for Every Woman and Child. And we've been working on this scholarship project like yours. We give scholarship in diploma in civil engineering to daughters of victims of child marriage and kidnap marriage. Generally, a thing about child marriage and kidnap marriage are both the parents are not financially independent. Thus, they cannot support the future further education of their daughters. So when they cannot afford the bachelor level degree or diploma level degree, girls are pushed into the mouth of child marriage. So to combat that cycle, we have come up with this scholarship program. Now, the problem is, like you have already touched this topic about funds. We work on funds, but they are not, always coming. And it's very difficult to survive. So how do you, or how have you been finding the like-minded people who care about this issue? And how have you been collaborating together? If you can teach me, it would be a great deal. Thank you.
That's a quite heavy one. I have just been into this practice, and I'm not sure I'm in a better position to teach you how I can bring funds. However, we have to make sure that our objective aligns with whoever we are working with. So we are closely working with a Netherlands-based organization that is Free a Girl, and Free a Girl is funding us. It's been funding since 13 years back to Shakti Samuha. So it's been a quite a long journey with Free a Girl, but yes, as you have already said that it's quite difficult for us to get funding partners and to get someone like some organization who could relate with our work. So I don't think I'm in a better position to give you the ideas on how to bring funds, but yeah, it's a quite tough journey, and we have to work together to fight against, you will be fighting against child marriage, and we all will fight against the exploitation.
I do see a couple of hands up, but because we have two more speakers and we also have a networking session post all our speakers as well, I highly encourage to all our guests who are physically present here to kindly interact with Advocate Anjali Tiwari in the break that we'll have in just a little while. But ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together for the incredible work that Advocate Anjali Tiwari has been doing along with Shakti Samuha as well. She truly highlighted, ladies and gentlemen, the importance of not only understanding the challenges faced by the trafficked individuals, but also adopting a solution-based mindset when it comes to addressing their reintegration into the society as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now headed towards hearing our second speaker, Mr. Barun Basyal, who is a human rights defender with a forward-looking vision for the future of human rights advocacy as well. We're extremely honored and very happy to have him here with us to share his story and his experiences. Please to give him lots of courage with a big, big round of applause.
Hello. Every year, an average of 150 human rights defenders face violations in Nepal. Globally, the statistics are even more critical. The United Nations estimates that over the span of 5 years, between 2015 and 2019, 1,940 human rights defenders were killed because of the work they were doing. Namaste. I am Barun Basyal and I am a human rights defender. I have been doing this work for the last 9 years, and it must not become as a surprise that it has not been an easy journey. Which is why I want to thank the European Union in Nepal for providing a platform for young people like me to share what our journeys have been like. To share with everyone present here and people tuning in all over the world our fair share of struggles and stories of hope. Let me take you all 8 years back when we started a youth information center. I was not pretty aware about the whole concept of human rights at that time. You can guess now, I didn't know what a human rights defender was or what they did. But that changed. We started a youth information center for advocating for the rights of the young people who are neglected by the local government, and those youth voices are not heard by the local authorities. We started by cleaning the old building, which was not used for more than 10 years. And to start with, from this old building, which will go on serve as our humble office, we started from this building to advocate and to discourse for the rights of the youth. Soon an organization called Informal Sector Service Center, or INSEC in short, held a series of crash courses on human rights, in which I also get an opportunity to attend some of the trainings. And I get more and more interesting, and I started to advocate more after I get trainings, and I came to know about human rights and the concept of human rights defenders. Then after I joined INSEC as a youth volunteer in 2019, and luckily I get an opportunity to go Norway to attend a youth exchange program. And there I meet like-minded young people who are equally, if not more, interested in the human rights. And there I committed to work for the rights of those people who are most marginalized and unprivileged, and who are deprived from many of the rights. And I decided to contribute my life towards to fight for the rights of marginalized and unprivileged people who actually need the rights. After returning from Norway, the COVID-19 pandemic followed, and it makes a challenge to me to start my campaign and programs. But when there is a challenge, there is also an opportunity. I, with my team of that Youth Information Center, started to create and publish the videos for the rights of the people who are living in quarantine centers and who are deprived from the rights of basic health rights. And when we strengthen our campaign, or when we came with the strong team, then some member of that community started to blame us that we are doing more harm than good. They claim that we are spreading the virus of COVID-19 and we are not maintaining the social distance. But we decided to not stop here. We came with a new idea and we researched, wrote, and edited a book titled of Youth for Change for advocating the rights of the people and for advocating the rights of the youth. After that, I joined INSEC as a staff and I went Madhya Province in 2022 as a focal person for human rights education program. It was totally new place where I was born and where I am doing work. So different culture, different language, different common understanding, different stories. But it was not hard to work for the rights of the people, though I was in Madhya Province. In 2022, when I and my team went to the Potaha village of Sokhwa-Nankarkati rural municipality, many people are deprived from the land and home. The historically marginalized Dalit communities are also deprived from the right to food, right to health, right to education, right to employment, and many more rights. They are historically deprived from the rights which the local government or our state has to deliver. When we organized a public hearing by knowing that real situation of that Potaha village, we forced local government to accept the problems of the marginalized community, but they blamed us of disturbing the social harmony of the earth, and they request us or they invite us to a separate room and they abused and harassed us and they warned us to not continuing the project. While we are advocating for any person's rights or the rights of the most marginalized and unprivileged ones, then we have to face a lot of blames and challenges, and we have to face many security challenges while we advocate for the rights. I know my experience are not as severe what the human rights defenders face in Nepal. Let me show you the statistics of human rights defenders or the situation of human rights defenders which we documented in the last 5 years. This is the data from 2018 to June 2024, where you can see 33 human rights defenders were killed due to their work. In this period of time, 869 human rights defenders have to face human rights violation cases for their work. As I mentioned you earlier that every year an average of 150 human rights defenders face violations in Nepal. So there is a huge challenge for we human rights defenders while we work for the protection and promotion of human rights. Here you can see many human rights defenders have to face threats and insecurities for their peaceful work. So let me give an case of Dilip Kumar Mahato, a 24-year-old environmental human rights activist who was dragged and killed while he was advocating for the illegal mining of Aurahi riverbed in 2020. He was killed at 4:30 a.m. of morning, and the death spot and the residence of Dilip Kumar Mahato was just only 500 meters. So you can reflect that human rights defenders are not safe even in their own community. Though human rights defenders support communities and victims, bringing hope and optimism, they serve to the role that a state has to play. The role and identity of human rights defenders have been neglected. Their work on the protection and promotion of human rights is not recognized by state. They are in most vulnerable situation, as we all know that. I think I don't have to explain more about it. They are increasingly exposed to serious threats, physical, social, and legal violence, while they advocate for the rights of victims and they work for the protection of human rights. So I think there is an absence of special law for human rights defenders for their protection and security. There is an extreme need of special law for human rights defenders, which envisions the National Human Rights Defender Commission. Though we have Human Rights Defenders Guideline 2012 introduced by National Human Rights Commission and the Order on the Security and Protection of the Human Rights 2021 introduced by Ministry of Home Affairs, there is a huge implementation gap. There is a huge gap in the policy and implementation. Though we have province, district, and local level networks of human rights defenders, there is an extreme need of national network of human rights defenders for the protection of all human rights for all. There is a need of specific human rights defenders law to accountability and in impunity. Therefore, to save the human rights of all, we need a National Human Rights Defender Commission. Thucydides once famously said that none of us are secure unless all of us are secure. So, I want to end my speech not in a tone of despair, but in a tone of hope. I call everyone listening to me to keep fighting with patience and resolve. I wish all of us to fight for human rights, and the fight for human rights must not end. Let's unite today for a better tomorrow. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bashal, for sharing your heartfelt story with all of us as well. And your sharing of real life tragic stories of human rights defenders reminds us of the immense, immense sacrifices they make and the challenges that they face on a daily basis. Ladies and gentlemen, we open the floor for question and answer. We have 10 minutes, so requesting. All right, we have somebody right here. Can we please have the microphone to a lady who is right on the front row?
Hello.
Hello.
Namaste, Mr. Barun Basel. I am Anu Joshi from Hood for National Human Rights Foundation. I am also a human rights activist. You have speak so nicely that human rights defenders' problems, challenges. I would also like to say that there is no safety, there is no security, and there is not enough, many non-government, they are funding NGOs, but there are so many non-government NGOs who are the human rights activists, defenders are working without salary also. I would like to say that human rights defenders or activists have to their identity card. Government or any NGOs or INGOs have to give them their identity card as a human rights defender so that they can work in the remote villages, like you said, in the Terai region, in Madhya Pradesh, you work there. Other people who have died, if they have identity card as a human rights activist or human rights defender, it's possible to rescue other people also. And identity card, and also I would like to say in life security for human rights defenders who work in remote places. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, ma'am. Do we have any questions? Yes, right there. If you can raise your hand, I think we have a volunteer coming to give you the microphone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bashal, for your sharing and presentation. My name is Rita Kabo, and I'm also an HR activist representing the Nepali Christian Society of Nepal. I was just curious about when you were showing your slides about the statistics, you had mentioned that there was a category of racial discrimination. So I wanted to know, what is this racial discrimination that you were sharing in your chart? Would you please explain that? Thank you.
Okay.
Sure, all right. Mr. Basha, would you like to answer that first?
No, please.
Because I have a question
Sure.
that's related to stat as well,
Sure.
which you just presented, Mr. Barun. So usually when you presented the stat about, basically I could see health workers, after journalists, health workers are more in the threat. So I was just curious whether you are trying to mention about the community health workers who are working in the community level, or does that also include someone who are working in some sort of already established health network or something like that? Because it was quite alarming data that I could see, because health worker it mentions, and in my perception, I've never thought about it. And also, as a follow-up question to that, do you have any segregated data in terms of gender, like how many WHRDs? Because whenever we mention about SRDs, my assumption around it is like WHRDs are in more threat. It's not as to generalize, but that's how it has been perceived so far. So I'd like to ask you a follow-up question if there is some disaggregated data in terms of gender as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks to both of you for your question. I would like to first come to her question. Yes, there are many racial discrimination cases of human rights defenders while they are advocating or while they are working for the protection and promotion of human rights. In the name of race, if the human rights defenders faced, or in the history or past, if they have faced the human rights violation, then here we have mentioned that it is I already have said that it is the data between 2018 to June 2024. So if you want to know one by one detailed information, these data are in our human rights violation reporting system of INSEC. So you can get the detailed information about it. But I'm sorry that I cannot explain all the cases over here, but I just want to show a data, what is the actual situation. So if you want to get quantitative details of this data, then I will email or I will send you later after that. And as for your question, yeah, we have segregated data of male, female, or other genders. So you can also can get in touch after I complete this session. So we can email or we can communicate after that. I think they go to the residence or home of the people, and I think they face that problem due to they go to their home, they go to their community, so that is one of the reasons.
We have one more question?
Hi.
All right.
Sorry.
Sure.
Can I? Okay.
Please.
Hi, Baranji. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was a very interesting talk. My one question, my name is Pranay Rana. I'm a journalist. My one question is, where do you, in your opinion, where do you think the biggest threat to human rights defenders in Nepal comes from? Is it from the government, or is it from private actors and individuals, or non-state actors? Where do you think the ठुलो चुनौती चाहिँ कहाँबाट आउँछ human rights defenders?
I think I will be right if I say that in the past we faced the challenges from the state or from the state actors while we are in conflict. But in days, I think we are facing the most threat from the non-state actors. I think that is the answer of the question.
I am really happy to see a lot of participation from the audience as well, but we have just 2 minutes more.
I am Gajadhan Surnar. I am ex-president of Dalit NGO Federation as well as ICDR representative. Your presentation is very well. I understand you are lot of engaging for the human rights, ensure the human rights. Basically, you mentioned about the racial discrimination. Maybe in the context of Nepal, it could be caste discrimination, maybe, yeah. And also, I would like to highlight one thing. As you a human rights defenders, have you any case deal about the inter-caste marriage in Nepal? We have a untouchability problems. There are a lot of the human rights violation in the context of gender or caste or these things. And most of the children are difficult to get their the citizenship also. What is your perspective how to handle this untouchability problem as well as the gender and caste discrimination or in the name of the inter-caste marriage? In most of the forum, I always we are discussing about the gender violations, but we are not seriously interested in the problem of the inter-caste marriage. When we go in the society, we can find a lot of male and female are facing the inter-caste marriage. That's why, what is your role about these things?
Okay, thank you. I think the identity and the recognition of human rights defenders is not secure in Nepal till the date. So the major problem is in here, because who will listen if we go in front of the perpetrators, or who will give the justice to the people or to the victims when we are advocating for them, have you think that we are able to provide justice, or we are able to support all of the victims who came to us? So that is the problem. So I think to end that types of problem, we have to strengthen local, district, province, and national level network of human rights defenders. We have to develop sufficient, efficient, and fully equipped human rights defenders for the solution of that. So I have presented that we need a separate national human rights defenders commission to strengthen the role of human rights defenders in Nepal. I think that will address your question as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bashal. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very
Thank you
much
so much
for sharing your stories. And I'm sure it's not just me that is shocked looking at all the data that was just presented. It is quite shocking. But like Mr. Bashal said, actionable steps need to be carried forward in order to change that statistics, that dreadful statistics. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now heading towards our final speaker for the day. We have Miss Anugraha Ghale, who is a passionate advocate for education and empowerment. She'll be sharing her unique perspective with her talk. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Miss Anugraha Ghale.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anugraha. One of the questions that people ask me normally when they meet me for the first time is, what is the meaning of your name? So Anugraha directly translates to grace in English. So I have been working in the field of social entrepreneurship and education. One of my hobbies, or well, a couple of my hobbies also include gardening, cooking, and also traveling to different places of Nepal with my dog. Whenever we do go for walks like these, we meet a lot of children on the way. And because I have a dog, they think that I am very approachable. This has also given me the opportunity to meet the kids in not just in the cities of Kathmandu, but in remote Himalayan and plains of Nepal. One of these days when I was returning from my hikes, I met two girls. And these two girls saw me and then they asked me, does your dog know how to do any tricks? And then I was like, yes, if you do namaste, my dog is also going to do namaste to you. They were very fascinated. Next day, I find out those two girls are at my doorstep with two more friends. The next day comes in, and I see there are 4 more kids at my doorstep. Today, there is anywhere between 5 to 15 to some days even 20 kids at my doorstep every day to meet my dog. Then I decided to take this opportunity to open up the doors of my house and start an informal learning center. This center teaches children from my neighborhood about cooking, gardening, life skills, and almost anything that they would like to learn. Some days we dance, some days we sing songs, learn how to play instruments, and some days we also learn to write our own songs. My mother told me that when she was a child, there was limited educational nursery rhymes available in Nepali language. But when I was born, things changed. There were educational nursery rhymes, instrumentals, electronic dance music, and any kind of music that you can possibly imagine. I don't remember many of those rhymes today, but whether you grew up listening to nursery rhymes, or maybe your neighbor had a baby, they were blasting the music on full volume, maybe you have siblings. You have probably heard of the alphabet song. It goes like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it ends with now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? It's catchy, cute, and also misleading because for 251 million children around the world, education isn't a song. A report by UNESCO Global Monitoring in 2024 revealed that out of the last decade, 10 years of working, there has only been reduction by less than 1% in the global education system of kids out of school. That means more than 19% of the kids who should be in school are not in school. For them, education is not a song. It's an unanswered question. And for many kids in Nepal, it's a questionable answer. So we need to realize the meaning of education. Education is not about controlling children, but about empowering them to be self-controlled people. Yet, here's the challenge. Our education system is not doing that. They are creating a parrot factory. Memorize, perform, repeat. Kids spend more than 12 hours in a classroom. Then they follow the same by homework, tuition. And by the end, kids do know their ABCs, but they don't know how to use these ABCs to create their own songs. So let's think about it. Each one of us in this room has a specific learning style. Someone out there might be a visual learner. Some of you might be an auditory learner. Some of you might want to feel things, experiment. You might be a kinesthetic learner. Each one of you has a different learning style, abilities, gifts, and genes. So how can a classroom full of individuals be motivated by the same means? Clearly, there's a problem in the system. So what's missing? Community centers, safe, creative spaces where children can explore their skills, learn new skills, explore their potential. A place where they can learn how to build self-control and not just be controlled. What I am proposing today isn't just another school, but it's a movement. Because education isn't just academic. It's creative, communal, and lifelong. Think about it. We send our kids to schools for what? To learn answers to the questions for exams they'll probably forget the very next day. Schools, they teach them the what, but they don't teach them the why. I was once helping a kid with his maths homework, and he was solving equations faster than I could even keep up. So then I just asked him, how are you going to use this for in real life? He just looks at me, disappointed, because I should know the answer to that question. And he tells me to pass exams. That's when I realized he knew how to calculate, but he had no idea why he was doing that. So children in our education system are sort of facing the same situation every day. They learn from papers, books as elements. But what about the other elements? Because education is not just academic. It's lifelong, and it goes beyond the textbooks and the papers. This is a report of Nepal. 25% of children that should be attending lower basic education are not in school. And by the time that they are in higher level, more than 50% drop out. And by the time that they are in secondary level, the attendance reduces to 48%. The Constitution of Nepal guarantees free and compulsory education for children up until the lower education, up until the upper basic education level, and free education up until the secondary level. So why do we see attendance drop by such a big percentage? This raises a very critical challenge for us, because the next generation of Nepal and the education system that we have today in place, it's not adequate. So we need to reimagine what learning looks like. Talking more about the solutions now. In Nepal, there are more than 6,000 ward offices, and we must start to utilize what we have in the beginning. So what we can do is turn these ward offices into community centers for all the different kids. So imagine after school, kids just go up to their local ward office, now transformed into amazing learning hubs. Some days they're learning about sewing, teaching them about making calculated decisions, much like how we do in life. Some days they are learning about music, teaching them the importance of practicing in solitude before their performance becomes public. Each and every of these activities are not just lifelong, but they are also metaphors for life. And this is not just a theory. I have already started working with organizations like Tabitha House, and also have started to pilot how this looks like in my local ward office. Once we have established the community centers, let's call in the big shots, businesses. You know how companies love sponsoring cricket teams or sports clubs? Let's get them to sponsor kids' futures instead. So I have been working closely with this amazing company called Himalayan Freedom Company. They are wholesale manufacturers of jewelry and upcycled sari items, and they also incorporate hyperlocal Nepalese fabrics like hemp and canvas into their everyday products. Most of the ladies working in Himalayan Freedom come from different life circumstances, and they have survived incredible hardships of life. But that does not define them. They are no longer known by their shame, but in this company, they are known by their name. And every day for 30 minutes in the morning, what this company does is they teach the ladies how to read and write in Nepali. They also teach them how to read and write in English language. Some days they also do art therapy. And for many of these ladies, it's the first time that they ever even attend school. And this is another picture, because most of the ladies also have kids. So what started out as just a program for the ladies has now also extended to the children. And they also have their offices in remote villages of Nepal. I was fortunate enough to travel to one of their facilities 1 month ago. And this place, it takes more than 2 hours of hike to reach to this place. The roads are there, but you cannot travel by a vehicle. You have to hike there. And what we noticed through this initiation was not just were the women more encouraged to teach their kids, especially because most of them are also single mothers, but we also saw that kids have improved communication skills. They want to explore their potential. They want to try new things. Imagine if just one company can do this. What can an entire network of businesses can do? A study by McKinsey & Company in 2023 also revealed that the next generation, Generation Z and Generation Alpha, most of whom are still in school, they are going to be the next generation that are going to question the very products that we use every day. They are not going to support companies that don't support fair trade and fair wages to the people making the products. But they are willing to pay extra for companies that provide fair wages and are ethically made. For business owners, this is something to look after. Because if you want your business to just survive, doing the annual CSRs is fine. But if you want your business to truly thrive, incorporating these strategies is not just important, but it's the right thing to tap into the growing market of conscious consumerism. There's an old proverb that goes, it takes a village to raise a child. But these days, our village have sort of become more like ghost towns. Kids are growing up isolated in their phones, in their own homes, and a community that does not even see their full potential. Imagine if my foot told to my hand, I do not belong in the same body because I don't work like a hand. Or if my ear told to my eye, because I am not an eye, I do not belong in the same body. Just because of that, it does not stop being a part of this body. We need to realize that our parts are a picture of a greater whole. And what we can do collectively is to achieve this body. We cannot be conformed to the patterns of this world, but we have to transform this world through the renewal of our mind. Education is not about controlling children, but about empowering them to be self-controlled people. And everyone deserves access to that kind of opportunity. The next generation needs this generation. And the challenge that I leave you with is it going to be you? Thank you.
Thank you very, very much to Ms. Anugraha Gale. Ladies and gentlemen, we open the floor for some question and answer. All right, we have our first questioner right here.
So good morning everyone, my name is Divas Raf. I am European Union Nepal Youth Founding Board member, and also since last year I have started my own project called Youthversity, which means Youth University, driven by dream and powered by youth. So we do similar things like you do. Since last year, more than 600 and 700 students and children have been engaged in projects like code camp, social hubs, learning hubs. So it's really challenging to organize those kind of hubs, and we don't have funds sometimes. So one thing I want to ask is, like, things that you wish every community leader or teacher, they should understand about education. So we can reimagine education and convert these formal spaces into informal learning spaces. That's it.
Would you want to rephrase your question once again?
Okay. So what's one thing that you wish every community leader or a teacher should understand about education?
Thank you so much. That's a very question, because most of the education system some technical difficulties. So one thing that I would want to tell almost every educator and teacher in Nepal is, it's not about you. If your learning materials are excellent, your presentations are amazing, the qualities, colors, everything is amazing. But if the person that you are trying to approach, the student you are trying to teach, the audience you are trying to convince,
हामी चाहिँ पहिचानविहीन किन भन्दैछौँ भने हामीलाई अहिलेसम्म राईमा गाभिएको स्थिति छ। नेपालमा 59 जाति छ भन्ने कतिपयलाई थाहा होला यहाँ, तर हामी त्यो 59 बाहेक छौँ भनेर 28 वर्षदेखि चाहिँ वकालत गरिरहेका छौँ पार्टीगत रूपमा, राजनीतिक रूपमा नेताहरूलाई मन्त्रालयमा। यसरी हुँदैन रहेछ भनेर यसपालि चाहिँ मानवाधिकारको पर्सपेक्टिभबाट पो अलिक छिटो हुन्छ कि यो हाम्रो मानवाधिकार हनन हो कि होइन। सम्मानित युरोपियन युनियनका डेलिगेट्स ज्यूहरू, उपस्थित मानवाधिकारवादी ज्यूहरू लगायत सङ्घ संस्थाहरूलाई मेरो यो संस्थाको तर्फबाट आग्रह छ, हामी कसरी अगाडि बढ्न सक्छौँ? हाम्रो चाहिँ ह्युमन राइट्स भाइलेन्स भएको हो कि होइन त, यो त समुदायगत रूपमै भएको रहेछ भन्ने 8 तारिकदेखि यो अब भोलि त सकिन्छ होइन। हाम्रो नेपालमा चाहिँ अहिले महामेला पनि भइरहेको छ, म्याग्ना कार्टा पनि लाने भनिरहेको छ। हाम्रो कुराहरू पनि त्यहाँसम्म पुग्छ कि त संयुक्त राष्ट्र सङ्घमा होइन। 1948 मा यो भइसकेको रहेछ।
धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद यहाँलाई। हामीले चाहिँ नि छोटो हजुरले आफ्नो कुरा राख्नुभयो, अझै पनि हामीसँग पछि समय हुन्छ भने जानकारी दिन चाहन्छु, तर अनुग्रहजीको लागि चाहिँ नि हामीसँग 10 मिनेट उहाँको क्वेसनको लागि हामीले छुट्याएको थियौँ, त्यसैकारण यहाँलाई धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद दिँदै म अरू कसैलाई स्पेसिफिक रिलेटेड प्रश्न सोधिदिनु हुनका लागि म अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु। यो 10 मिनेटको मात्रै हजुरलाई हाम्रो यो कार्यक्रम सकिसकेपछि डेफिनेटली पनि इन्टरेक्ट गरौँला पर अहिलेको लागि भने हामीले अनुरोध गर्ने चाहिँ अनुग्रहजीको यो एजुकेसनसँग रिलेटेडका केही प्रश्न यदि अरू कसैले सोध्नु भएको छैन we'd like to encourage new people as well who haven't interacted really. If you have any questions. Sure.
Anugrah, that was a good presentation. I'm an educator too. I have a school for 22 years now, apart from being a HR. The question about when you talked about having a community center. In my school, we have students from urban refugees. So I had the problem. So I had approached the UNHCR to start they call it the Kathmandu Center. And then what happened was that there's even an organization or agency like the UN have difficulty in funding a day center for the refugee students. So the question is very good to have this ideal notion of turning all the ward office into a center. I wish we could do that. But I wish, like, as a young person who is very much motivated to have a day center for the students, I wish we could do that. So I hope that you will continue to work for that. And I have worked for that. The KCC, it was started near the Gangalal Hospital. It ran for about 4 to 5 years. And then the urban refugee students, because they had difficulty in language and so many things in integrating with the local culture. So even UN funded, it was funded by the UNHCR with the agency of ProPublic, but they could not fund for more than 5 years. That's a very idle notion to have that, but wish we could start that. The second thing you also pointed about the education system, that it's not only the educators about changing the whole, it is the government that the system has to change. I mean, we wish that our education system would be more creative, it should be child-friendly and work with that. But keep it up. I'm into that for 22 years, haven't been able to do it. But young generations like you, I hope that you will be able to raise much more young voices and work toward that. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think we had more remarks, so I'd like to take this opportunity to ask a question to Anugrah herself. You, like our guests also mentioned, you've talked a lot about quality education as well, but a question that I've just received from online is quality education or the right of a child to express their views is quite frowned upon in the South Asian region as well. How do you stay motivated when progress seems slow and change feels almost impossible?
Working in a sector like it. Let's just get the mic. So working in a sector like education, wow, my voice sounds really different in a mic. So working in this sector, it's obvious that South Asian cultures frown upon the youngsters speaking up, or even a student just telling to their teacher, hey, what you're teaching is actually outdated. So that does happen. And progress, it feels impossible when the results are not visible. But slow progress is still progress. Like our madam was mentioning, she has been working in this field for 22 years. She has already planted a seed in good soil. And she is faithful that it might take 25 years, 30 years, but the seed that she has planted will become a fruit someday. Don't dig up in doubt what you have planted in faith. Continue to do what you have done and believe that change, you might not be here to see it, but the future generation that you have nurtured are going to witness or even create that. So that would be my answer.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Ms. Anugraha Gale. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Gale, for your thought-provoking and your inspiring speech. You've beautifully highlighted how we have to redefine education, shifting from traditional old-school approaches to seeing it as a powerful tool for transformation and empowerment as well. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come close to the conclusion of today's program, I'm sure all of us must be filled with gratitude and inspiration from the incredible stories that we have just heard. And these stories, ladies and gentlemen, is a testament to the resilience, courage, and unwavering dedication of Nepal's human rights champions as well. They challenge us to not only acknowledge these issues, but to also take action, whether it is advocating for change, supporting initiatives, or simply raising awareness amongst our friends, family members, and our close circle as well. I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our distinguished speakers who did incredibly well and I think deserve a thundering round of applause one more time. And of course, to the European Union delegation to Nepal as well for organizing such an impactful event, and hope that this continues so that more voices like these are heard and changes can be made. As we leave here today, ladies and gentlemen, let us carry forward the lessons and the inspirations that we have gained and turn them into meaningful action. Together, as a united community, we can make a difference in advancing human rights and fostering a society that is inclusive, just, and compassionate. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure hosting this event. Ladies and gentlemen, I request all of you to kindly join us for some refreshment, for some tea and coffee. And now it is time that you can ask unlimited questions to our speakers as well who are here. I'm sure they must be excited to share their stories with you as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of United in Diversity. Stories from